Namaste, guys. ChristianRLong, Life Enhancement Consulting, giving you a big and beautiful shout out on this Sunday afternoon here in Denver, Colorado. It's about 3 o'clock p.m. Mountain Time, right here in the mountains, looking out my window. Mountain range, snow cap. It's majestic. It's beautiful. It's wonderful. I'm very lucky, privileged, and honored to have the vista that I have on a regular basis. I've been at this place for about 2 years. So every morning I get to look out, unless there's a blizzard or snowstorm or it's super foggy, then I'm not able to see the mountains. But I want to jump on. Today we're going to do a little stream. Again, we talk about energy healing, meditation, and practical spirituality, 3 topics. And I thought, what's a good topic for today? And I was talking with a client about food. Now, food is something that each and every human being in general deals with throughout the day, throughout the week, month, quarter, year, and lifetime. So we can all relate to it, right? And I have some really funny stories around food, but it came up because I went grocery shopping. I usually have a service bring me my groceries, but I thought, let me mix it up. Let me find some little specific things, not even related to food, but related to hair care, skin care, hygiene stuff. So as I was coming back, Susan, namaste, as I was coming back, my client was bringing up food, and I took a picture of a Starbucks coffee that I had. Koalud, Atma Namaste, hopefully I said your name right. Welcome to the stream. And I was drinking the Starbucks, and she goes, oh, that's really nice. What is it? And I said, oh, it's a mocha. It's got 1 pump of chocolate in it and some half and half, et cetera, et cetera. And she's like, oh, that's really good. And I thought about it, that as I was coming home and I was putting away all the groceries, I've known this for a very, very long time. Dean, Atma Namaste, fellow pranic healer or Hatha yogi from many, many, many miles or kilometers away in Australia. And it's interesting because as long as I can remember, I have been not very interested in eating food, even as a little kid. You know how certain people are foodies? Right? People that go to the nicest restaurants in town, or when they go on vacation, they go to the nicest, newest, coolest, whatever places to eat. I've never been that person. I remember when I was living in Jersey City in 2011, and my roommate at the time, who owned the place that we were staying in, he used to work for a hedge fund. I forget actually what he did specifically at the hedge fund, but he made like $125,000, $135,000 a year, and this is about 10 years ago. In New York City. And him and his girlfriend were foodies. He was in high finance or big finance. And then his girlfriend was kind of brought up in the, what could you say, the wine world. So actually, she was in the process of buying a restaurant, renovating it, and then turning it into like a tasting bar, right, for wine. They were huge foodies. But what was interesting? They would go out to a restaurant, the two of them, not multiple, the two of them would go out to a restaurant and spend anywhere from $250 to $500 for just them going out, right? And they would do that 2 to 3 times per week. And I remember him saying to me, even though he made good money, $125,000, $135,000 a year 10 years ago, I remember him coming home and being stressed out. And he's like, dude, I like to eat good food, but man, my girl, she picks the nicest places all the time, and it's really starting to affect my budget. So I guess we all have our limits and all of our caps. So I've eaten fast food. I've eaten vegan. I've eaten at nice vegetarian restaurants. I've eaten at high-end steak houses where you're spending $75 to $150 for the meal with appetizers, entrees, drinks, dessert, right? And I gotta say that, so what? That's just me, right? For you, eating at the nicest places could be the most important thing, and it's like something you long for because you're a foodie, you have a refined palate. I don't have a refined palate, so you eat one thing and you taste or sense 3 or 4 different notes and aspects and sensations in your body. I eat something and I'm like, okay, got it. Can we digest this already? So there's an old saying that you eat to live, you don't live to eat. And I would probably be an embodiment of that teaching. right? I would be an embodiment of that teaching. So a lot of my life, I focus on getting the highest quality nutrients as quickly as possible. So I'm a big smoothie fan. For any of you who know me personally, who have worked out with me, who have done healing with me, who come and hang out and socialize with me, you know I make phenomenal smoothies. My smoothies are off the chain because I make them super nutritious, pack them full of light, love, and power, sweetness, tenderness, and joy. And then when you drink it, it has a profound healing effect on your physiology and on your energy body. That's just how I roll. Not really big into thinking about what I have to eat. I remember when I was coming into pranic healing, where I discovered pranic healing in Vancouver. Kate, namaste, good to have you back on. I discovered pranic healing in Vancouver, British Columbia in 2003, this October of 2003. And my girlfriend at the time, she had time and she had money. I had lots of time and no money. And so she says, hey, let's travel around. Let's go all over BC and have little adventures. And I was like, that sounds cool. And she goes, and don't worry, I'll pick up the tab. And I was like, okay. And she goes, and we can eat out at nice places. We can eat out at mom and pop places. We can eat out at high-end places. I was like, okay. Right? I'm completely indifferent to it. And you know what's funny? We did this for about 2.5, almost 3 months of eating out 2 to 3 times a day. You hear what I said? For 2 to 3 months, we ate out 2 to 3 times every day, 7 days a week. You know what was the biggest challenge and the biggest problem for me during that time was another menu to look at. Do you see it? At that time, I was lacking a lot of gratitude. I was lacking appreciation of her generosity, of her desire to provide value, her desire to feed me, her desire to love and to be generous and to be kind and to be sweet to me, right? All I was thinking at that time was, man, I have to choose again. I have to choose what I want to eat for breakfast. I have to choose what I want to eat for lunch. I have to choose what I want to eat for dinner. This is exhausting, mentally and emotionally exhausting. So I thought that was a really interesting feedback. So fast forward, 16 years, a lot of my day is I wake up, I eat the same thing in the morning. In the afternoon, I pretty much have the same thing. In the evening, I pretty much have the same thing. I have a friend of mine from back in the day who literally for not months, but for years, Elizabeth, namaste, would eat the exact same thing. For years. Same thing in the morning, same thing in the evening, same thing in the middle of the day, his lunch. It was black Himalayan rice, a huge bowl of it, and then 3 chicken breasts with hot sauce. That was his lunch for years. He would never change it up because he's a man of habit. He's a man of tradition. Now, most people, that would drive them crazy. Why? Because they want variety, right? They want to mix it up. They want new taste. They want sweets. They want bitters. They want sours. Rebecca, namaste. Good to have you on again. They want astringent. They want all these different experiences on their taste buds to add to the level of enjoyment, right? Me, I could care less. As long as it provides me nutrition quickly, I'm pretty happy. And it's interesting because my ex-girlfriend from a few years ago was a vegan chef, right? A vegan chef. Every man's dream, right? She would make super nutritious, super high quality, very elaborate meals, right? For breakfast, for lunch and for dinner. She would make her own breads, like desserts, everything from scratch, right? Like literally from scratch. And I was like, oh, sweet. Right? In gratitude. And it was interesting because in the beginning of her making meals, she would ask me, well, what do you want for dinner? Or what do you want for lunch? Or whatever, right? And I was like, well, okay, what are my what are my choices? What do you want? What can you make? Right? It was this big. Well, I'm gonna say it was this big thing around food, until one day, eat gains on gains on gains. It was this experience of about 6 to 7 months into her asking me, what would you like to have for breakfast, lunch, or dinner? She then realized, wait a minute, he could care less. All he wants is it quickly and nutritiously with the right macros, and that's it. So she stopped asking me what I wanted and just started making it. And then I was like, oh, sweet. And I didn't have to think about it anymore. I didn't have to think about what restaurant we were going to go to. I just like, oh, yeah. So I'm not saying everybody is like that. In fact, I probably am part of the minority on that. There's a lot of foodies out there. There's a lot of people that got a lot of fulfillment out of socializing with friends and eating, nice lunches and appetizers and whatever. That's just not my thing. I want to connect with somebody at a retreat. I want to connect with somebody through a meditation practice. I want to connect with somebody through a healing practice. I want to connect with somebody from a soul level, right? I want to look into their eyes, them look into my eyes, and I want to connect like that. For me, I don't get that experience socializing over food. And that's just me. We all have our preferences. We have our strengths. We have our weaknesses. Just not my thing. So it's interesting because you have people that live to eat, right? Their whole world is surrounded around food. If you look at a typical amateur going pro bodybuilder or pro bodybuilder, their every waking hour is meal prep. What are they going to eat now? They're planning what they're going to eat for lunch, planning what they're going to eat for dinner, because that's part of their profession, right? They have to keep their macros in the right proportions. They can't eat too much carbohydrates. They can't eat refined sugars. They can't eat too many fats. They're cutting weight, so then they got to change their macros. So those are people that almost every hour on the hour of their waking life is dedicated to being aware of what they eat and what they consume. They're not super attached to how it tastes. And if you've ever had a protein bar before, you know exactly what I mean. The macros are right, but the food, the taste of a typical protein bar is pretty disgusting. I eat once a day and I'm 240 pounds. Definitely don't need food all day. Beautiful. I love it. Will, you're a great embodiment. Jennifer Ottman, namaste. That's what I'm talking about. And there's a lot of people that do intermittent fasting. I would be a practitioner of intermittent fasting because I don't have to think not to eat. I go to bed around 9:30, 10:30. I stop eating around 7 o'clock at night. And then I wake up 7:30. And then I won't eat something till sometimes 12 or 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So that's like 14, 16 hours of not eating. And it's not like I'm forcing myself, like, I really want to eat, but I can't do it because I'm training for a competition. I just don't eat, right? Socializing over food can be the start of deeper conversations. Yes, that is correct. Will says, yep, intermittent fasting is awesome. Yeah, so I just naturally do intermittent fasting. Elizabeth, you already jumped on, girl. Did you jump off, jump back on? Good to have you on as always. So again, and it's interesting, when I was 17 years old, I got certified as a nutritionist under Dr. Jane Pence in Massachusetts. And it was really fascinating. I mean, I was the guy that read the books on nutrition. I was the guy that read everything I could about health, about wellness, about strength training, about cardiovascular training, about nutrition. Like, I was all about it. And then when I was 19, I was introduced to spirituality, to the spiritual path. And it changed my viewpoint around wellness, about well-being, right? And it changed a lot of things about my perspective. Now, the physical body is super important. Keeping it hydrated, keeping it well nourished, good nutrition. All of these things are very, very important, right? But it's like, it's not my entire existence. I don't spend my entire life tweaking my physical body, right? It's like, okay, I need to move my body a certain period of time per day. Great, I'll do that. I need to eat these macros, these nutrients, trace minerals, etc. a couple times a day. Denise, I'm a namaste. That's it. I'm done. Because I don't want to think about it. For some of you, you might be familiar with Einstein, right? That super smart guy in the 40s. And he wore the same clothing every single day. Same pants, same white shirt, and same blazer. Because he didn't want to think about what he had to put on. Some people love thinking about what they have to put on. That's their way of expressing, creative expression. Nicole, I'm a namaste. Not my thing. I don't want to have to think about what I have to eat. I want to push a button, have it go into my mouth, quickly nourishing me with nutrients, and then I go about my day. I don't want to think about it. It's not my thing. So you have people that focus on food all the time, right? Then you have people that start transitioning from food to living off of air. They're called breatharians, right? And you might be saying, wait a second, there's no way that there's somebody who lives just off of the air. Not true. Not true. So breatharians are interesting people. You probably have never met any official breatharians, but these are people that have developed their, Billy Atman Namaste, they've developed their energy body to such a degree that they can absorb the air prana. They still drink water in some cases. They absorb air prana through the spleen chakra, and then the spleen distributes all the other prana to the other chakras. Unfortunately, these people are shaped like this. They're shaped like an inverted pyramid, an upside down pyramid, because they're not, when you eat food, solid, dense material, it grounds you, it roots you, it makes you more balanced, right? You have people that are like this, that are super grounded and not very connected to their spirituality. Then you have people that are very connected to their spirituality, but not very grounded. So you want to be both. So there is, you can find it on YouTube. There's an Indian yogi who has not eaten or drank anything for over 60 years. So just for funsies, he went into a research laboratory and they monitored him. They took blood samples and they had cameras on him 24 hours a day. And his only request was to have water to bathe in and to do his spiritual practices. But they measured the water before, evaporation, and then after to make sure that he wasn't consuming it. He still peed and he still pooped, but after 10 days of observation, he didn't eat anything and he didn't drink anything, and all of his vital signs were normal. You guys hear that? All of his vital signs were normal. So you're like, well, I don't understand it. We need to eat food to nurture our physical bodies and keep our physical bodies alive. What am I missing? Because he's a yogi who has practiced sun gazing. Sun gazing, which means in the morning and in the evening, when the sun is rising, Ted, I'm going to say, good to have you on. When the sun is rising and when the sun is setting, there's a certain quality of prana or energy that can be metabolized by the energy body of a human being. Now, here's the thing. Most people on the planet have no idea what this practice is or that it even exists. So that's a pretty important factor. And B, your energy body has to be developed to a certain degree in order for you to utilize those energies within your system. Does that make sense? Meaning, just because you know the training routine of an Olympian does not mean you are physically capable of performing that routine. Does that make sense? So you can get a very, very, very advanced spiritual practice from a great, 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 great teacher, like my teacher, Grandmaster Choa Koksui. You can get a very advanced spiritual practice, but that does not mean you are ready to practice that. Does that make sense? So somebody's going, well, if we can just live off of solar energy or energy from the sun and not have to eat anymore, why doesn't everybody do it? Well, A, you need to know the proper technique, which in essence is pretty well guarded for certain reasons. And B, you have to have a certain level of development of your energy body in order to extrapolate those energies for your energy body to live off of. Does that make sense? It's really fascinating. It's really, really fascinating. So you have people that live to eat, right? You have people like myself who eat to live. Then you have people that are breatharians who just absorb energy from their environment, typically outside, air prana. And then you have the sun gazers who get their nourishment and nutrients from the sun. Because here's the thing. We do what to survive physically? We sometimes eat, whatchamacallit? We eat meat. Corey, I'm going to say, we sometimes eat meat, right? And where does that meat get its energy from? Plants. So sometimes we eat plants to live. Well, where do those plants get their energy from? The sun. Do you get it? So basically, as your energy body develops, you cut out the middleman. The middleman being the animal, or the middleman being the plant. And you go directly to the source. Now, that's not for everybody, for many reasons. But go on to YouTube, look up breatharians, look up sun gazing yogi, right? And you'll find these people, and they're super rare. I'm not saying that you're gonna walk outside your apartment or your house and stumble across somebody who doesn't have to eat anymore. It's extremely rare, but just because it's rare doesn't mean it's not possible. How many people have gone to the moon physically? How many people have gone to the moon physically? Not many. It's super, 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 super rare, but it happened, right? So Adriana is asking an earth prana. So for those of you who've taken basic pranic healing, which a lot of you have not, in basic pranic healing, you are taught the different kinds of energy or different kinds of prana that we can use to heal ourselves. So you have earth prana, which is energy that comes from Mother Earth. You have air prana, energy that comes from our environment that we absorb through the spleen, right? We have solar prana, energy that comes from the sun, right? And then we have divine prana or divine energy, which comes from the higher soul and beyond. So she's asking the question, what about earth prana or earth energy? Without getting too detailed, because this isn't a basic pranic healing class, which I highly recommend each and every one of you take. Pranic healing is offered in over 90 countries around the world. So if you're near a major city, most likely every 2 months there's a basic pranic healing class. So just find one in your area. But if you look clairvoyantly or energetically at earth prana, earth energy, it's violet. It's violet energy. It's like violet mist or violet fog that's coming out from the ground, radiating out from the ground. And you're like, well, why is it violet? Because violet contains what? Properties of all the other energies. So you have green prana. Every colored prana has properties. Green prana, blue prana, red prana, yellow prana, orange prana, right? White prana. Violet prana contains all the properties of all the other pranas, which would make sense because Mother Earth, we're connected to Mother Earth, and we need many kinds of pranas and energies to function. So it would make sense that Mother Earth would radiate violet prana. I hope that didn't get anyone too sidetracked. Okay? So that's our conversation for tonight about eat to live, or live to eat. Is that the question? Dean said something I missed. I apologize, Dean. 240 pounds? No, seriously, Christian, you don't look like you're wearing a 240-pound body. I'm not 240 pounds. Will is. My body, at the beginning of 2019, so exactly 1 year ago, my body was 177 pounds with about 10-11% body fat. Now, because of a year of purification, a year of inner work, more cardio versus strength training, my body is about 157 pounds. So 20-pound reduction. I actually, in my opinion, look better now than I ever have in my life because I'm leaner. So my intention a year and a half, 2 years ago was to increase my size, put on weight, to expand my physical body because I want to experiment. And guess what I had to do? Take a big fat guess. I had to go from eating 12 to 1,300 calories per day, right? Which is not a lot. 12 to 1,300 calories per day to 22 to 2,300 calories per day. Eric Ottman, namaste. Isn't that amazing? I had to double my caloric intake. It took me about a week and a half to 2 weeks to adjust because of being a person who doesn't like to eat. I had to force myself to eat, but then I got the hang of it. So I spent a year and a half, almost 2 years of increasing my body weight. Now my focus is on leaning down, cutting weight, getting trimmer, getting leaner, getting more flexible, getting more agile, being more open, right? So that's why I'm more attracted to calisthenics, why I'm more attracted to a physical hatha yoga practice as opposed to going to the gym. And then when the weather improves here in Denver, I'll be doing my rollerblading again. Because when the weather's good, I rollerblade every day for about an hour. In 30 minutes of rollerblading, you burn about 450 calories, right? An hour, that's like 700, 800 calories you're burning. So if I'm consuming 1,600 calories a day and I rollerblade for an hour, then I'm down to about 800 calories that I'm giving my body to utilize just to function. It's kind of funny. So anyways, I hope that helps. I hope that inspires you guys to look at food differently, to have a different relationship with food. Look, if you enjoy sitting down and having a beautiful meal, a beautiful steak, a beautiful lasagna, a beautiful linguine and meatballs with friends or family members, with a big loaf of bread and salad, get after it. Have fun with it. Tear it up. Enjoy it, right? Right? Enjoy it. But if you have other goals and other objectives that you realize your food might be standing in the way of that process, then you have to change some things. And change is not always easy for people. And I mean, think about it. It's food. We're surrounded by food all the time and reminded biologically, hey, it's time to eat. Hey, it's time to eat. It's time to pull in calories, right? So it requires a level of awareness, understanding, a degree of willpower, not from the emotional will, but from the higher will. So it's completely understandable. But if you enjoy eating, get after it. If you want to stop eating, then start practicing breatharian techniques. Start practicing solar gazing. Which, by the way, it's very interesting. If you talk to an optometrist, somebody who deals with the eyes, or the common scientist, they'll go, oh, if you look at the sun directly, it'll cause permanent damage to your eyes. Not true. If done correctly, with proper training, it's extremely powerful. But again, most people don't know the technique, and most people don't have the energy body to practice the technique. So you got to know the technique, right? And you have to develop your energy body to a degree that you can practice that thing to derive the benefits of it. So you got to know the Olympian routine, and you got to build your body up to that of an Olympian. Make sense? That being said, if I can help you with let's say you have a food addiction. You want help with your food addiction? We can help you with that. If you have negative thoughts and negative feelings connected to food that you think are holding you back from certain growth and development of where you want to go in your life, hire me for healing. Pranic healing has very specific protocols connected to weight loss, to weight gain, to healthy attitude towards food. Marcella, namaste. All kinds of things. There's many, many protocols in pranic healing. There's over 100 customized protocols to help move your life forward. And the reason I'm wearing this, as opposed to having my little lapel mic in, this seems to pick up sound much better than my lapel mic. My lapel mic seems to be, it covers the sound of the room, including my voice, versus this just covers my voice. La, 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 la. So, go to ChristianRLong.com. It's my name, ChristianRLong.com. Sign up for a distant pranic healing session, and we can shift you, help you, transform you, move you forward. God knows we all need it. So that's it. Do you guys have any other questions, comments, concerns? I want to just give another 15, 20 seconds for people that want to jump in and say something that we can add value to the people who are watching currently or watching the replay. It's funny, I was looking in the mirror the other day because my hair's shorter now than it has ever been. And I'm like, oh, white hair. And I was like, yes, I'm getting that salt pepper look. So Corey says, hold on, Corey. Corey says, Will Grimes questioned about this fasting stuff. What do you do to maintain muscle? Do you supplement throughout the day with protein shakes, egg whites? What to do this to lean out, but I'm afraid I lose too much muscle mass. I have to find the link. Thanks, Dean. I have to find the link, Corey, but there's a world champion natural power lifter who eats one small meal a day, and that gives him all the energy that he needs. This guy has mastered a certain quality within him. So I agree with you that yes, muscle mass can change. That's why you have to be clear on what is your objective, right? What's your objective? Is my goal to gain weight? And if it's to gain weight, why? Right? If my goal is to lose weight, what's the purpose of losing weight? For me, stamina is super important. For me, vitality is super important. For me, mental clarity is super important. So if I realize that a certain eating pattern is going to negatively affect those things, then I don't do those things. So just to gain weight for the sake of gaining weight, if I wanted to be a professional bodybuilder or I want to move in that direction, then yes, that's the lifestyle choice that I've made and I have to fall into line with that. But as a professional energy healer and meditation teacher, my focuses are different. So my focus is on nurturing and nourishing my physical body. This is going to come as a surprise to you. This is not a judgment. Vanessa, namaste. This is not a judgment to anybody that partakes in the health and wellness world, like professionally. I just want to give you viewpoint, a different way of looking at it. So one of my ex-girlfriends was an amateur bodybuilder. An amateur bodybuilder, meaning she had to put in a lot of time, money, energy, supplementation, watching everything that she ate because she wanted to move in the direction of being a professional bodybuilder. But after a couple years of entering a few competitions, coming in second place, coming in third place, she started to realize, holy moly, I got to do a lot of things to my physical body, right, to compete at that level. But here's what's fascinating. And I'm talking about this from not firsthand experience of me going through it, but being intimately involved with somebody who went through it, is that the people that are in that industry of bodybuilding, bikini, bikini, I forget the other name. But anyways, the people that are in the sport of bodybuilding, of strategically making their body look a certain way, it's not healthy. It's not healthy. In general, it's not healthy because they're putting so much stress and strain on their insides and forcing their body to do certain things that it's compromising other aspects. That's why you see a lot of people being emotionally unstable as they're going through that. I know this I definitely know firsthand. They're emotionally unstable as they're going through the process of gaining weight, and then basically gaining weight and then cutting weight. It's extremely stressful on your physical, emotional bodies, right? So I, as a lifestyle, don't recommend it, but that's me. There are some people that are in the wellness and fitness industry of amateur bodybuilding, professional bodybuilding, that have a tremendous amount of joy, happiness, and fulfillment doing it. But in general, that's not the case. In general, that's not the case. Because I was always looking the long-term effects of something, right? So if I said to myself, okay, that person's been doing that for 10, 15, 20, 30 years, how has their life been, right? And so if you look at people who have been pushing their bodies in fitness, with steroids, with excessive supplementation, with experimental dieting habits, their overall quality of life is not very good. But then when I was studying dance in college, many moons ago, I would look at dancers, whether it was salsa dancing, tango, modern, ballet, and I would look at them and I go, that person's been dancing for 30 years and they have more energy, more vitality, and more radiance after doing that for 30 years than a lot of people I knew in their early 20s. So you can be a dancer into your 80s, but how many bodybuilders do you know that are bodybuilders into their 80s? You have yoga practitioners into their 80s. How many professional boxers do you see into their 80s? Not many, right? Because it puts such a physical strain on the physical body and on the emotional body. It's not really worth it. It's not for the long term, because what's the purpose? Is the purpose of doing bodybuilding for the ego? Is the purpose of bodybuilding to improve the quality of your physical health, emotional health, mental health? Because if you look at how people show up, it's not so good. Again, this isn't me attacking, judging, criticizing. Look, we all have free will. We can choose what we want to do, how we want to do it. But I'm just asking you to look at it from a different viewpoint and a different angle. Is that lifestyle giving you what it is that you're seeking? If you're seeking validation, bodybuilding will definitely give you that, right? Because it's people looking at you on stage, liking your Instagram, liking your Facebook, commenting, sharing, all of these things. If that's your goal, but that's not my goal. My goal of doing these live streams is not for attention or validation. My goal of having an Instagram is not for attention or validation. My goal is to transform souls. That's my goal. So if one soul gets transformed through these streams, all right, mission accomplished. If not today, then the next stream, somebody will get on, their soul will be transformed. Right? So it's less about attention and validation. But some people need that. It's where they're at in their level of development. Does that make sense? So I kind of covered many, many different topics around that, Corey. So I do supplement. I take multivitamin, I take omega-3s, omega-9s, I take vitamin D, vitamin C, or D3, vitamin C, turmeric for inflammation, because I have a tendency to be an inflamed person because of my personality, because of my genetic makeup, because of my spiritual practice, right? So things that cool my body and are anti-inflammatory, I'm all about. I take a protein supplement, a meal replacement. I take certain kinds of honey and ginseng to help me with my healing practice. So it's very specific to what I do. It's not something like I'm looking to compete in a bodybuilding competition. Also, as a final note, my teacher, Grandmaster Choa Kuk-Sui, the modern founder of pranic healing and Hatha yoga, he says by fasting once a day. I'm sorry, by fasting once a day, that means every day you're fasting. By fasting 1 day a week, you develop your willpower. I don't mean your emotional will. I mean your higher mental will, right? And this center, the Ajna chakra, is connected to your higher self, to your higher soul. Why is that important? Because when you practice willpower, you are letting your lower vehicles know who the boss is. Meaning, we have a physical body, yes? So me moving my physical hand right now is a function of the will aspect within me, right? I'm willing my hand to move, right? If I feel a certain feeling and I'm like, that doesn't feel very good, I'm going to will myself to feel something different. Have you ever had a really intense argument with somebody on the phone or in person, and then all of a sudden you get a very important phone call that comes in? How quickly can you change your emotional state? Like that. That's a function of will. Or let's say you're thinking of something that's not so pleasant, thinking of something, a negative memory from the past, the distant past, a trauma, something. Not good thoughts, right? But then you will yourself to think a good thought. That's a function of divine will. Really amazing. So when you fast 1 day a week, you, as the higher soul, is telling your physical body who the boss is. Because the physical body wants to eat. The physical body wants nourishment. The physical body wants what it wants, and it wants it right now. Right? But by connecting your will, your higher will, it controls the vehicles. Your physical body, your emotional body, and your mental body. An example of that would be St. Francis of Assisi. When he was working in scripture and his body was hungry, but he was focused on the task at hand using higher will, he would say, mule. He used to call his physical body the mule. He would say, mule, I'll feed you later. Meaning I have work to do. Quiet. Right? But he regretted later on in his life the abuse that he gave to his physical body. He regretted the abuse that he gave to his physical body. Because him, a saint, super strong will, super strong connection to their higher self, and they will work their body until it dies. Grandmaster Chola Koksui, I've talked about this before. This picture of him, he looks like he's in his 60s. He's 36 years old in this picture. He worked his body until it died. Because he's not here to live it up, live the dream, YOLO. That's not why he incarnated. He incarnated to teach. He incarnated to spread pranic healing and arhatic yoga around the world, and he was able to do that to over 60 countries within less than 25 years. That's a function of will. But what did that cost him? His life, prematurely. The teacher left his body in his mid-50s, as opposed to living out a comfortable retirement into his 80s or 90s. So it's the same thing. It's like, well, you can use your higher will to take your body, control of it, and say, body, we're going to put on 25 pounds of muscle mass within the next 6 months. For what purpose? Is it for the purpose of validation? Is it for the purpose of attention? Is it for the purpose of career advancement, sponsorships, etc.? Or is it for the purpose of demonstrating your higher will and using that higher will for goodwill, to help other people, to serve, to heal, to mentor, to guide, right? You can use your will in any way, shape, or form that you choose to. You're a being of divine will, right? We all have free will. How are you going to use it? How are you going to use your free will? Am I going to use my will to stay up till 2 a.m, partying, drinking hard with my friends? Or am I going to use my will to stay up to 2 o'clock in the morning, coming up with a new invention, a new product, a new service that will alleviate the suffering of mankind and make me super wealthy in the process? It's not good or bad. It's simply being still, being aware, and going, what's the best use of my time? What's the best use of my money? What's the best use of my energy? Where do I want to spend it? That's all. So, Corey, I really, really appreciate that question. It's an excellent question that obviously you see it opened up a little Pandora's box of other viewpoints and perspectives that will add lots of value to other people who are watching the replay of this stream. So, that being said, for those of you who got value from today's stream, please share it on your Facebook page, right? Your personal, your professional, doesn't matter. If you know anyone who eats, I'm sure they'll get value out of this stream. It'll give them lots of perspectives that they probably haven't had before. And when you have new perspective, you create and open up new possibilities. Make sense? So thank you very, very much for sharing your time, your energy with the group. Because we've been on long enough, I won't ask if there are any other questions. Feel free to direct message me if you have them, or you can put them in the comment section below. That's fine too. And I'll do my best to respond within 24 hours. And for those of you who need healing, I already know the website, ChristianRLong.com. Ananda, what's going on, girl? You're late to the party. You're going to have to watch the replay. But we love you regardless. My Arhatic Yoga sister, traveling junkie. All right, love you guys very, very much. This is Christian Long, Life Enhancement Consultant, wishing you a beautiful day, a beautiful weekend, a beautiful upcoming week, and a beautiful life. Atma. Namaste. Bye-bye.